Hi everyone, it's me, Miss Farrah Mills. Welcome back to my channel. So, today's topic was suggested to me by my friend Nick. And he wanted me to talk about um, questions that people ask me that I dislike answering or that I get a lot. And my general views on transphobia. So, let's just start with the questions that I hate. Now, I'm definitely someone who is all for education. Anyone who follows me or is friends with me knows that I'm all about educating people on trans rights, trans lives, anything to do with that basically, because I think it's important to try and educate as many people as possible who don't know anything about trans people or don't interact with any trans people on their day-to-day lives, what it's like for us, and to just be a bit more understanding. But of course, some people are incapable of. It's incapable to just educate someone and then that's it. Sometimes you do have to block people because they're just generally intent on being rude and nasty and have no intention of actually learning anything. They just want to try and make you feel worse about yourself because that's how they feel and they want to project their mentality onto you. Um, Now, of course, the questions aren't always a bad thing. It's just the intent behind the question, I always think. And because I've had the question that I hate being asked the most is, are you pre or post op? And I just find it's a very intrusive, rude question anyway. It's like me going up to genetic women and asking her if she's on her period. People don't ask these kind of questions in civilized society, darling. But it's the context in which behind the question is asked, I think, because I've answered this question a lot of times when it's been asked of me. Because sometimes, when you're in a discussion with people, like friends of friends, and you're having a drink and you're all discussing things and you're all talking and they are asking you questions, but they're asking you a question because they want to know more, because they're trying to understand about things. And so in that context, I don't mind asking the question. And people usually ask if it's okay to ask it first, because we're having a discussion about something and we're all learning about each other's lives and who we are and things like that. So I think in that context, those kind of questions are fine for me, because I'm always all about education. And so if I can educate someone better on those kind of things, then I'm all for answering that question. The issue I have is it's usually, and obviously this is just my experiences, usually when that question is asked of me and it comes out in a negative way is when a man asks me. Well, not always, but obviously some girls are trying to ask because they're trying to be nasty to you. But I'm talking about generally, in my experiences, when I'm asked that question the most online, it's usually from men, because they're trying to find out what you have there in regards to a sexual. They're asking you for a sexual reason, and that's when I don't like it, because for me it's like, unless we have a transaction between each other, or I'm dating you, what is going on between my legs has nothing to do with you, and it doesn't affect any other part of my life. So it's not something you need to know or something you need to be asking me. That me or any other trans woman or man, to be honest. Our surgeries are, if we want to discuss that, then that's fine. But it should be asked who starts the conversation off. It shouldn't be you asking us to discuss things like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's one question. The other one that I really hate is when people ask me what my old name was. I always say to them, "What do you mean my old name? What name?" Because the thing is that I'm not ashamed of who I was before. It's made me part of who I am today. Obviously, I'm still exactly the same person I was. I just look differently on the outside, but who I am inside has never changed. I haven't turned into my personality hasn't turned into someone else. I'm exactly the same person as I was. So when someone asks me what my old name was, basically they're kind of asking me who I was before I am the person I am standing in front of them, which is a stupid question, because I'm exactly the same person as I was. And also, like, unless you knew me back then, if you knew me back then you knew it, you would never say it again to my face unless you wanted me to smack you. So do you know what I mean? So if you've never met me before, or you only know me as the way I'm presenting now, then that's all you need to know. There's no other conversation, because as far as I'm concerned, that name that was given to me at birth is never used now by me or anyone in my family. Everyone knows not to use that name, and anyone who still fucks up, and I let people off if they make a mistake and they forget. You can tell sometimes with older people that they might forget, because it's just something that happens when you get older. But anyone who purposely says that name, who shouldn't be saying it, feels the wrath of me. so people know not to say it, you know, because it's part of my past that I'm not ashamed of, but it's part of my past that is not the way I live my life anymore, you know. So it has no relevance in my life now, and it's the same in any situation that if times in the past where I was asked to do documentaries about different things and stuff, and I said, you're not having pictures of me pre-transition, and you're not having my old name. I said, because that has nothing to do with anything. You can still portray me as being trans, but you're not discussing me in a male pronoun, and you're not using an old name that has nothing to do with it has no relevance to who I am now. So I refuse to let anyone use me in that context, and it's the same socially as well. You know, I'm not going to discuss those. Like, I'm happy to talk about my childhood because I didn't have a bad childhood. But I'm just not going to talk about myself as a he or use an old name because I never was a he. I mean, I was living as a girl wearing men's clothes, basically. Do you know what I mean? It may be confusing for some people to understand, but anyone who's trans knows exactly what I'm talking about. So just don't ask someone what that old name was. It's just a pointless exercise, and you will probably be met with a lot of hostility because it's just a nasty backhanded kind of thing of you're kind of insulting someone, but you're saying it, you know, with a smile, but you're being very rude. So check yourself. I think those are the ones that I get asked the most, which I really hate. I hate those questions. As far as what I think about the way people are being transphobic, obviously I just do not understand how someone can be transphobic because, you know, to me, trans people, gay people, people from different ethnicities, you know, everyone of those things which are classed as a minority, you know, they all have a similarity thing in the fact that people, or white people should I say, they don't, it's not part of their lives. So instead of trying to learn a bit more about somebody, they just completely ignore it, and then there's fear connected to it and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. And I just think that if more people took the time just to have a basic understanding of other people, then you wouldn't have a problem. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand why you have a problem with another human being. That's the part that I don't understand. It's very simple. You know, we're all the same. Just because someone chooses to live their life a different way, it has no bearing on your life or anybody else's. I always said, you know, I could not give a shit what somebody else is doing with their life as long as they are not hurting anybody. That's the point. You know, as long as someone's not hurting somebody else, I couldn't give a shit what someone else is doing with their life in the nicest possible way of that. You know, they should be free to do what they want to do. The same as I want to be free to do what I want to do. It's that simple. Just a short video today, but it was important that I got another video out. I thought some of those points were very important. Thanks for the questions, Nick. If you want to subscribe to my channel, click here. If you want to watch one of my latest videos, click here. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Lots of love.